All right, so welcome to Hair Smarter.
Where we get into what hair school forgot to.
So today's a really good one. I'm super pumped. We're talking about mentorship, why it matters, why it's missing for so many people, and why none of us do this work alone.
For this episode, we've invited our own mentors to the table.
Yes, Marc Berardi and Nikki An-Levi. Thank you so much for being here. Oh,
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
yeah, it's so good to
We're
see you
excited.
guys.
All right, so let's get into this. My first question's for Marc. You've spent over 25 years behind the chair and leading cutting education. When you hear the word mentor, what does it mean to you beyond teaching technique?
It's to help them navigate in an industry that's changed so much over my 30-year career. Ultimately, it's to get them through the day-to-day grind of salon life. The things that aren't so sexy in the beginning of their career, anything like housekeeping related, client relation stuff, helping them manage stylist egos. We deal with that sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
We've
yeah.
seen that.
That's a big part of what we see.
For sure, right? The one thing I've also tried to get into their minds is starting them to save sooner than later for retirement. It's what my dad did as a career, and he drilled it in my head from a young age. This is an industry that doesn't talk about retirement so much.
No.
When you don't
Yeah.
have a corporate setting up your 401k for you, you have to be
That's
smart
right.
about saving sooner than later.
Mhm.
I mean, it's true. And I will say, like, you were one of the big mentors for me starting in this industry. And what I appreciated a lot was, yes, of course, the technical stuff that we did in class, but being able to either work with you one-on-one in the salon or work with you in general, you did get to start seeing those things, right? Like, oh, did you sign up for getting an IRA or a 401k or whatever? I mean, we were lucky enough to be at Bumble where the 401k was available. But
Yeah.
as someone early in your 20s, you just don't even realize that that's like a thing.
Also, you can't afford to do that in the beginning for hairdressers, unfortunately,
Not
too.
in New York
Mm.
City.
Like getting your 401k, it's very difficult when you're trying to start out, And I mean, just in this note, owning a small business, I wanted to provide 401k and growth for my business, but unfortunately, that doesn't help small business either. So you're really
True.
stuck and can't give all these future growth for your staff, even in a small business. So I wish there is something for hairdressers where when they start, there is growth. And maybe there needs to be a different type of pooling system. I don't know.
Mhm.
But we've been in this industry for 30 some years now, and it's like has not freaking changed.
No.
And
Yeah,
we're
that
all
is
suffering as we
interesting.
get older. And we're the only people in the hairdresser industry that don't have a system.
I know.
It's like, what the F? That's been my biggest challenge owning this salon for about over 15 years now. It's constant trying to find growth and future, but it's really hard.
I'm sure it's hard.
And I wish there was something.
Yeah.
Mm.
I can't imagine owning a small business like that. Everything's
Big
against you,
challenge.
I feel.
Yeah.
Right?
Big challenge. That's what I always wish, that we all can create something in the hair industry, in the level of maybe in the cosmetology department where we go get our tests. That main department should create something where we all could contribute to some kind of a retirement 401k. I don't care what it is that we have growth for our retirement.
Yeah.
That's what I think. I don't
And while we're talking about it, if anyone's listening, we'd also like some health insurance.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
just down
Yes.
the line. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Like, throw the hairdresser some bone here.
Yeah. I mean, hello.
Yeah.
The challenges of small businesses, right? This is why so many people
Yes.
don't want to go into it, and I applaud all you for doing so.
You guys, it's kind of crazy. Go
So,
on for
Marc, just to
hours.
follow up
Yeah.
on Sarah Jane's question a little bit, like, 25 years behind the chair and leading cutting education. You're known for your technical precision, razor work, scissor work, clipper work, understanding weight and hairlines really before anything else. So can you talk a little bit like about how does the foundation shape the way you mentor people, like being so knowledgeable on all of those things?
Well, I've had the good fortune to either being in an apprenticeship or teaching in one for most of my 30-year career. All the while, it keeps me current, right? It's an
Yeah,
industry you never stop learning. I mean, that's so cliche,
that's
and
true.
and it's yet so true. There's so much to say on this topic, but you have to start with the basics as always. It's not so exciting for educators, but you can so easily lose somebody. In the beginning, we have a system that we followed for a long while. We have these 5 haircuts. Start with the scissors, do those haircuts, keep things a little more structured, and we move them into the razor, doing the same 5 haircuts. Try not to bounce around, right? The skills of a long layer haircut flow into a bob, which flows into a graduated bob.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden you got a pixie, right? And it's
Yeah.
And did you pick those specific shapes? Were you like, these are the ones that kind of hit everything in this realm and or everything in this realm or something like that?
it's a classic structure. I think it's again one of those things that if you were to jump right into graduation having no understanding of scissor skills, you're going to be quite lost.
Mm.
So
Oh,
and there's times that I do it. Sometimes I want to I get excited and you have this great model in your chair and you want to give them everything, and then you end up doing the haircut yourself because you realize, well,
yeah.
it's just not in their skill set.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I think we've all been there. Like, oh, let me just do a demo instead.
Yeah. Yeah. Right? Oh, that's so
absolutely.
funny. I feel like that is kind of like a hard thing to do. Like when you're teaching, when you're like, oh my God, this model would look so good like this or whatever.
hmm
But really, they're working on something else, you know? It's like, how do you kind of give both of those things?
Well, I've gone through so many recent experiences that post pandemic things change, right, drastically. I think from an education standpoint, from what we've been given, YouTube, Instagram,
Mm,
all these great platforms to have this free education.
mm.
So, they come in with these models and sometimes they're not appropriate, but they're great models. So you end up making a demo, right? I have one assistant, she's newer and pretty recent out of B school. And she's like, can I do more of that, that haircut next time? It's a joke and we have fun with it. But yeah, it's tough because you have this great opportunity and you want to go with it. So you make it a demo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fair. That's
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. I would think I haven't taught an apprenticeship program since I was at Bumble, but I would imagine these young kids are like coming in thinking that they know it all, right?
Mm,
From social media platforms and watching these 30-second
right.
reels all the time. Like, what's been your experience with that, Mark, like recently?
So much of it is the same, yet so much has changed. I know that sounds ridiculous.
Mm,
You have assistants that have a much great knowledge base, again, with
Mm,
social media.
mm,
It comes down to when they have their hands in a head of hair and they can't accomplish what they're trying to achieve, and then you get in there and make it happen. It's humbling, right?
yes.
I've also
yeah.
found it to be a little bit more frustrating for some of them.
Mm,
Oh,
And I always say, you watch a 30-second reel, 60-second reel of some sort, and it makes it look so easy, right? They skip all this good stuff. So I try to push them into the YouTube platform a little bit more. We have
Yeah.
a 10-minute video. It's without a doubt, it has its own new challenges. And with that said, I feel I've learned so much in the last 5 years since
mhm.
the pandemic in a very different way. And Nikki, how are you dealing with your assistants and what's coming in? I'm sure it's all same, Boston, New York, whatever.
I mean, I guess my goal in having my own business was I always believed creating it from an assistant program and develop them into a
oh,
hairstylist. And I
amazing.
did that for 10 years, but it was really
Mhm.
difficult. And everyone is, and I'm not saying anything negative, everybody's just in their own journey. And I think it's very important, the whole assisting, but I think for me, the challenge is because I'm so small, I only have 7 stations.
Mhm.
And it takes 3 years literally to train someone to feel confident that they could be on the floor
Mm,
and take care of a client, have a great conversation, and understand how to cut that person's hair.
mm.
But, a lot of times they want to rush into quickly. I want to hurry up and get done.
Yes.
When am I done?
Yes.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
like what you're saying, can I do that haircut? It's like the passion is wonderful,
Right.
but I think we have to learn the foundation, as an assistant. And then we're also teaching them, how do you communicate with people? This is not just cutting
The
hair.
people. Yep.
We're therapists.
Yes.
We're everything to them, really, when we think
Yes.
about it. And we're not even psychologists. We don't even have a
We're
degree in
not
that,
trained. We're
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know? So I think it's very challenging in a smaller business because once you train them and develop them, and eventually everyone wants to move on,
Yeah.
and then eventually they take clients, and then you're happy for them, but then you're left with maybe 10% of your client gone.
yes.
And so then now
Wow.
I have to
Yeah.
start over again and then hire another assistant and retrain them for how many years. Yeah. So it's been a rewarding, but very educational.
Yeah.
See a lot of in a different light now too. But at the same time, I truly believe that we do have to help develop our next generations of amazing stylists.
Yes.
Yeah, you mentioned 3 years, and that is the reality of it, and
Yeah.
most don't wanna
It
hear
is.
that. Any, management, leaders, whoever, but you
Yeah.
try to do that 2-year mark, it's so tough.
Yeah.
2.5 years, you can kinda squeak out, and it's tough. Like, the 2-year mark is when I find they all just, they're done with
I'm
it,
good.
right?
I'm good. I'm
Yeah.
out of
Done.
here.
Yeah.
But that they just need a little bit more
Yeah.
grooming and molding because they're just going to be even more successful.
That
Yes.
so much comes together in the last, few months. I always mention that too. It's like, "Come on, just hang in there," right?
Yeah.
You're almost there, it'll all come together.
And then I think with us too, we have to find, okay, now they're at the space. Now we need to, I know I hate to say, but we have to inspire them, but also we need to put it in their shoes and then make them have the responsibility of their own ownership
Yes.
of their career.
Yes.
Because we can guide them and mentor them, but we are not going to change their diaper for them.
Well, yeah, right. And actually, Nikki, that's a great point, right? Like mentorship and being a guide, like you
Yeah.
said, doesn't mean that I'm doing it step by step and
Right.
showing them doing the haircut, holding their hand, la la la. Maybe there's a little bit of that in the
Yes.
beginning, but as they develop, it should be less and less.
Yeah.
And I feel some of the young stylists sometimes have a hard time with that.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I think that's where we have to slowly kind of groom and educate too because of COVID. Unfortunately, we were all locked down for so long. A lot of our young kids had a lot of hard time communicating again. So we all have to kind of go back to ground zero and re-educate that, I think, and just guide a little bit more. But then also at the same time, we can't, over guide, if that means.
I get that. I get that.
Sure, as a
Yeah.
salon owner, you have to kinda call it at some point, right? It's a little easier
Yes.
in my world with, working for a corporation to trust the process and hope it works out.
Right.
I'm sure having a small business is so much more challenging, the worries, the stresses, of course.
Mhm.
But at the same time, it's good too. it's,
I'm sure.
Yeah.
it's a fun wave.
But, it's interesting, like, we talk about the post-pandemic and the stereotypes of this next generation, and I have to say, there's 8 assistants now, cutting assistants at Bumble, and
Wow.
you have all sorts of personalities, and it's no different than what it was 20 years ago. Some communicate better, some don't. Some are better with
Right.
their technical skills, some aren't. Some are better creatively,
Yes.
Right.
and some are better technically. And it's kind of this classic cyclical thing, in some
Right.
ways as well.
Yeah.
Well, Nikki, you may have answered this already, but I just want to get the question in there and then you can add to it if you want to. So you've worn a lot of hats. You're a stylist, you're an educator, you're also a salon owner. So what does
Yeah.
mentorship mean to you in this stage of your career right now?
Like I said, I think mentorship is always very important in our industry. All of us grew up at Bumble. We've all seen the incredible education that we all gone through, even though we had to work our tail off. And we all know that.
We've turned into the old people where we're like, well, when I was assisting,
Oh, yes,
we
totally.
never got a lunch and we did 27 blow dries before, 9 a.m. Like, it's so
Oh
funny.
my God. You don't know how many
Yeah, you don't
haircuts we
know.
had to do. Yeah. Those Wednesday classes, how many models we needed. But in my salon, I still have a assisting program.
Mm.
Right now I have one assistant. and she's kind of half on the floor, half still learning. So I kind of had to kind of shift a little bit to help push them a little bit faster,
Sure.
Mm.
right? Because I'm small and she does pretty much a lot of things. She wears a lot of hats as
Mhm.
well. So, and now that holiday's over, we're going to go back into teaching and I just teach her. It's just me and one-on-one with her.
Great.
That's kind of nice.
Yeah, it's really fun. And now also too, I used to only have live models.
Mhm.
Now I've calmed down. And in the beginning, now we just use mannequin for just the basic structure lines.
Okay.
Uh, I don't need a live person to teach her how to cut a straight line, cut a straight bang, whatever, you
Right.
know. And
Yeah.
then once she understands the basic lines, and then I tell her, okay, let's bring in a live model. Let's restructure the consultation and look at how we
Yeah.
dissect the hairline and all that
Mhm.
stuff. And then she'll bring in a live model and then she'll show me what she does. So
Oh,
I
okay.
kind of like almost test her out on certain things. So then I know that when she's on the floor, she's going to have more confidence to do those haircuts.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And so also too, teaching her about how to communicate, how to look at the person's face, you know, just everything. That way she has a little tool belt that she can take out every information when she needs something. Yeah. So I think to me, going back, assisting program is very important, I
Yeah.
think. We have to mentor because you know how our industry was not that great for so long. And we all decided that we're going to work harder to elevate our industry and make it more intelligent, more creative, more sexy, more fun, everything. So I think we've done so well. Don't you think, you
Yeah.
guys, that we've come
Yeah.
so far and we should be so proud of our industry? But we just need to keep always doing better and not changing. And I think the most important thing is always having, you know, assistance and to learn. Yeah.
Mm.
You're a lucky girl to get one-on-one with Nikki.
I
Seriously.
know.
Maybe I
I
need to go
know.
back to
Yeah.
assisting.
Oh my God, I do too.
Well, that was one of the reasons why I wanted to ask you to come on the show with us because you really inspired me in that way. You were like, no, better,
Yeah.
go back. I can see it from here. And if we're talking about technical skill, it was the ponytail. I never wanted to learn how to style hair. It wasn't like a passion of mine, but you would always say, I can see it from here. Go back, fix it. The grain isn't right. Go back. It was never ego. It was just persistence. It was like greatness, show up and do the best that you can do. And that's like the main thing that you taught me is like, don't shortcut it. Do it the best. And
Yeah.
in turn, the ponytail made me better at combing. It made me better at sectioning.
Mm.
It taught me how to
Right.
see the hair in a different way that I wasn't seeing it before. And so thank you for that.
Oh, thank you. I think that's just the magic part of us, how much education we had and how everything we do from a blow dry to hair cutting all ties together.
Yes, it does.
Mm.
Because it's how you section, how you see the root, how you see the elevation, how clean it should be. I think getting that precise, I know it sounds crazy, but you know, getting that hone in, that technique, then you, how we always said, you get your technique down, you can break it up and it's going to look amazing. Right.
Yes.
So I think that's where we all learned so much from Bumble. You know, I really appreciate what I got
Mm.
from
Same.
Bumble. Like I always talk about that. Always.
There's something that I constantly do that I remember coming from you, whether it was passed down to you. Now get in the mirror, look in the mirror, look in the mirror, getting back in the
Yeah.
mirror, right? Some stylists, some assistants naturally do it. And then others, you have to just constantly up, look up in the mirror.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
without a doubt, that was something that you drilled in our heads. So
Yeah.
I believe that it was me, Massimo, Kobe, Millie that were in your first styling class, like your
Oh,
structured styling class at Bumble. What a trip.
oh my God, what a trip. No one taught me how to teach hair. I
Right.
mean, teach class,
Yeah.
but it was fun. I just thought, let's share knowledge, right?
That's it.
Yeah.
Well, and
Yeah.
you're so good at it. However you learned how
Oh,
to teach, you did it right.
well, thank you. You know, most important to me was, you know, I did hair in Seattle for already 9 years. So when I went to Bumble, I decided I wanted to start all over as an assistant, not come in as a hairstylist.
Mm.
Wow.
Because I just had this feeling that I needed to allow myself to act like I don't know anything and just go in and learn something brand new and not allow my knowledge to take over what I'm
Mm.
learning. I just said, all that shit I know, just put it in the back of my head and stay there. And then I just opened myself and just started as an assistant and worked my way up to where I was at Bumble. But I learned a lot from everyone around me, you know.
Yeah.
We had just incredible people from even in our art department, our
Sure.
product, everything, you know. We just had that huge, beautiful circle. And I think during that time when we were all there, it was the most incredible time.
Yeah.
I agree.
Don't you
And
guys
like
think
just
so?
yeah, and just kind of
Right?
moving that space from like, no, I'm the expert and I know it all to wait, what are you doing with this? Oh, let me
Right.
hear what you're doing. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, look at that person. It's
Right.
very like a group hive situation and I love that.
And I feel like because we all started as an assistant of some form at Bumble,
Mm,
I think that allowed us to really be more humble with our own self and craft.
mhm.
So that opened us more to share our knowledge. And it was amazing to share without ego, without any of that in the way. And I think that all of us were like that. And that's why all of us became successful in our own way. And when I see everybody that leaves Bumble or anything, I just like admire everyone, how incredible all of us has been doing, you know?
Same.
And I still cut like a few people from Bumble actually that were in the art department and stuff.
I love that.
And we all still talk about like, we all got killed and we busted our butts to the ground, man, because the passion was there and we
Mm,
were just so freaking passionate about hair. It
Yeah.
was like all our eyes were all open, you
Mhm.
know, like all of us. And we always said, after that, we can go anywhere and
it
be
was true.
successful.
It was
You know
Right.
what I
true.
mean? But I think that's our generation, all of us, I think we worked really, really, really hard, but we really learned a ton
Yeah.
Yeah,
and got a
I,
lot
Oh
out of
yeah.
it.
I talk about that to the sisters all the
Yeah.
time, right? You get this amazing education. It's yours. You know, you work hard at it. You can take it anywhere.
That's right.
And I'm constantly pointing out the Nikki's, the Kobe's, Karina on the West Coast. There's so
Yeah.
much inspiration that has been drawn from our experiences, and it just
Yeah.
keeps being spread. And Nikki, you mentioned something that I think is a commonality between all of us, where we came from other places.
That's right.
We had a
Mm,
little bit of experience. You know, I was a stylist for 4 years in another salon that was very big with education, and it kind of sparked my career with going that route and coming to Bumble, going through their apprentice program. You know, it was abbreviated, as I'm sure yours was, but nonetheless, I mean, what came out of that was incredible, and the people
Yeah.
at the time were just amazing to be around.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a great time. You know, this is an interesting point with bringing assistants out of beauty school, right? You can't always control whether you're bringing them from beauty school or not from another salon, right? More often recently, we've been pulling them from beauty school. And that
Right.
poses its own challenges because you're starting from ground one. You're in many ways trying to break habits that beauty school has taught or just
Right. Right.
grazed over.
That's what I was doing, actually, bringing in kids from beauty school and then started them here as an assistant.
It's easier in some ways.
It is because they don't have any bad habits. So you're
mm.
just training them your way and in the technique that you want to hone in for them. But the thing is, it's again,
There's, yeah,
you know,
flip
it's
side.
all about the individual, like you said earlier, Mark.
Yeah.
Is like, are you passionate and you want to learn, or are
Mm.
you here just to be an asshole? Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
It's so true, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Like, what's
Yeah.
up with your attitude? What, you already know when you just came out of beauty school? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
calm down a bit. Calm down.
Yeah.
You know, it's because everybody, like, again, on social media, everybody is a master.
Yes.
And then you look at the hair and you're like, can I see the end result, or has it been photoshopped? So it's a lot of fake news out there, but That's why I think going back to mentorship, that's really important.
Yeah.
I think we keep going
The
back to that. Yeah.
the foundational stuff really matters.
Oh,
Yeah.
huge, huge.
It
As we
does,
all
but I
talk,
think
right?
even on a bigger scale, like talking about like why mentorship actually matters in creative work, right?
That's right.
Because you need to be guided. So,
That's right.
Mark,
Yes.
why do you think it's especially important in creative industries like ours or other ones that are similar?
I'll just like jump in that question. Like,
Yeah, go for it.
I think
Yeah, yeah.
I think a lot of it is like creativity is not black or white, right?
Yeah.
It's so subjective and it's gray.
Yeah.
So like I needed a guide. So layered, right? It's cutting, it's styling, it's color. There's like so many things to learn. And like Nikki said earlier, everything is encompassed in that. So where do you start? Right? Like you need somebody to help show you the way. You hold
Right.
your hand, like talk through the process. Yes, it's like you want to cut one length, but there's how many ways to do that? How many
Right.
ways to
Yeah,
section it? You know, it's not one way is the right way. You know, this way worked for me, but this way might work better for you, right?
yeah.
So much of that
Right.
starts in the consultation. Nikki, you touched on that before. It's something I think we've always really embraced and role played through one on one with the assistants. The consultation is so important.
Yeah.
The communication
Right.
side of things, right? If they can't clearly hear you, I mean, that's a problem, right? If you're not listening, that's a problem.
Yeah.
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 As a client you've had, over the years, don't stop asking them how it worked out, right?
God, that is the biggest thing. One of the
That's so
biggest things I
true.
took from you, Mark, was like, yeah, just because you've known them forever doesn't mean it's rest time. Like, we're not
That's
on
right.
autopilot because you want to know what? After a while, like, especially women, they like to change it up. They want to
That's
keep
right.
it moving, right? And if
Right.
it's not
Right.
with you, it's going to be with someone else. So,
That's
like,
right.
that's the hard truth of it. The second thing is, how disrespectful actually is that to a
Oh
client?
my
To be like,
gosh.
"Yeah,
Yeah.
there's only this one thing that we do for
Yeah.
you." I'd rather ask and have them say, "Yeah, I'm still comfortable in this space with my hair," but
Right.
they'll surprise you. Every once in a while, they'll be like, "Actually, I was thinking about right?"
Right. Right. And I
Like,
think that's natural that we all get comfortable.
yeah,
Yeah.
of course. That's
Yeah.
like human nature.
Yeah. Exactly.
We
But
Sometimes I
I
get like that.
remember
I'm like, oh dang, she's had this haircut for a bit. I'm like, okay, I
yeah.
think it's time to change.
Yeah, right? I just remember sitting in class and being
Exactly.
like, "What is he talking about?" But then when you get on the floor, it's like, "Oh, yeah, of
Yes.
course." Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the other thing with consultations is
Mm,
what you can learn from what you previously did.
Yeah.
Right? You fuck up sometimes, or layers didn't work out, or you have a seasonal change, right?
Mhm.
You're dealing with humidity, and then all of a sudden it's winter and it's dry, and so it's constantly shifting. And you've had this conversation with humidity to them, and all of a sudden we're in this cold period, right? And everybody's hair is flattened out. But they don't think about it like,
yeah.
with this haircut, it's just my hair is just not. It's like, well, we lost all humidity, so
That's right.
Yeah.
yeah, right.
Yeah. It's like the last thing on their minds,
It's
right?
Yeah,
They're just
it
like,
is.
"Oh, the
right.
haircut's not working." Yeah.
Right. Right.
But even more importantly, it's like, what cycle are they on, right? Are they a
Mm,
6-monther? Are they a 2-monther?
Oh yes.
mm.
Yes.
And how that
That's a
haircut
good
grew
point
in
too.
is gonna teach you something or
Right.
set you up for the next one. And we all work on our clients' schedules. Yeah, whether it's a 6-month or 6-week, it's gonna augment the haircut, and what you do is important.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Totally.
But man, when you get that client, I had one come in that I've been doing for a few years on Saturday, and I hadn't seen her for like, I don't know, 7 or 8 months. And she's like, "This is the third variation of the haircut that you cut, and I love it. I love it going through all these different things." And I was like, "Man, it's these people that I just want to spend like a little extra time with
Sure.
because
That's right.
it's so cool that they like there's not a lot, right? Most
Yeah.
people are on a schedule that like need to whatever. But like when they do let it kind of be and let it grow into a million different things. I love it. It is like a little present that you get like every, I don't know, once a year or something. But it's so great. And I truly, at that moment, try to be very like, man, thanks, Bumble. Or thanks, Mark. Thanks, Nikki,
Yeah.
for teaching us, like, look in the mirror, make sure it moves well, do all the things, because who knows, that haircut could live for a year, right?
Exactly.
Even though we don't want
That's sometimes our
to live in that a year, but it's nice that it can last that long for sure. Totally.
Exactly. I mean, that's our education, right? Like how
Yeah.
we can evolve that hair to almost 6 months plus.
I'm like, oh, okay.
I think I
Winning
need
over
to charge
here.
you triple
Totally.
because you're not going to come back for another 6 months. Yeah.
yeah, it certainly can work against us, right? You got a nice square bob,
Yeah.
jawline, and that thing will just keep coming in as long as you layered it out and balanced it initially. It'll definitely go 6
Exactly.
months without any issues. But
I mean, isn't it fun? We're already like dissecting how we're going to do that haircut.
Yeah, I know, right? I know. But that is getting the mentorship, like creatives,
That's
like
right.
when
Yeah.
you find a mentor and it's the total package, it's the, look in the mirror, look at the shape, look at the things. Did you check out the weight? Did you do this? Did you do that? I'm just thinking about like hair cutting specifically, but like, that's amazing. And then with all the technical stuff, that's one thing. But then I will remember to the day I die, like Mark, we were walking down the street in Midtown. We were at the 56th Street location when I started. And you were like, oh, look at this building. Oh, it's from the 70s. And this is the architect and like blah, 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 blah. And, like, the details, whatever. But what was interesting was like, oh, the lines of that building actually match the bobs that I'm working on.
Mm.
Whoa, holy fuck, right?
Yeah.
That was like, oh, everything's connected. And I love that part.
yeah, simple balance. We're stricken by it. We're driven nuts about it, right?
Yes.
With anything that
Yes.
you within your home, with
Mm.
any sort of design. It's fascinating. I love it. It does
So true.
drive you a bit nuts. But you were mentioning something, within the consultation that I wanted to touch on. With mentoring and having this one-on-one with these apprentices, you get these experiences when they're grazing over questions within the consultation. And in a classroom setting, when you have this ability to just pause, stop, hold up, like you totally didn't answer that question. Let's talk about this. Let's role play this a little bit more. Because I don't think the client understood that. And I don't think you understand where you're going to go next with this, right? So you have that moment to pause. Versus
Right.
what's the other option? Assistant apprentice comes out of beauty school and they just jump right into it, and they just have a career of, not being so great in a sense, just from winging it. So that's why, again, you get a chance to really learn about these random things like architecture or whatever it is that gets you going. So,
Right.
for me, design is huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like you're saying, the fundamentals of the foundation is so important because a lot of times you see people just like you said, just kind of go through the motion. And then when they really want to learn, they actually have to go 10 steps back to understand the foundation
So
again.
true.
So why go backwards when you can continue going forward? So I think that's where we also have to hone in on our assistants saying, no, 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 no. And we got to be firm, not to be too soft. It's
Yeah.
like that fine line
Yeah.
because we have to give a little bit of tough love at the same time so then they own their own stuff. We're not just always
I
giving.
agree.
Right.
I agree.
Yeah. Such a good
Yeah.
point.
Nikki, do you find it more challenging in that light for obvious
Mm.
reasons these days?
Yeah, I think so.
Without a doubt.
I think also it's because you want everyone to stay. You try to give everything you can, possibly, right? But eventually people move on and that's normal. At Bumble is different because you just have continuous movement of people coming through, but I can't just hire anyone either because I only have small space. So everyone's personality has to kind of similar,
Yeah.
but like some stylists left because they didn't like another stylist. I'm like, what are you, a baby? We all have
Yeah.
to get along, even though you might not like that person.
Yeah. That's what it
You're
is.
here, you're here to create a beautiful hair.
Yeah.
That's it. But I see myself always going back and forth. But in the end, I always say you have to mentor somebody to make our industry better.
True.
Always.
100%.
Even though it's going to be hard for us, but it's more important for the bigger picture
Yeah.
of the industry.
But we're missing one incredible part to mentoring, and that's that reverse mentor sort of thing that corporations do, right? We learn so much from these younglings. We were just watching a bunch of Star Wars stuff over the weekend. So these kids are teaching us so much in return, right? So
Yes.
if you can be
Yes.
open to that symbiotic relationship,
Right.
I know they're on social media way more than I am. I
Oh.
kind of have to force myself to. It's not my strong suit. And what comes of that is pretty incredible. They keep me in the loop. They keep me on top of shit that I probably wouldn't have seen.
That's right.
These
That's right.
random modern skullets or the hime, like
That's even a new term for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you're like,
I
wait,
know.
what? And you have to like look it up and you're like, oh my
I know.
God,
oh,
I can't keep up with
I
this.
know.
I'm always like, what was that new word again?
Oh,
Mark and I were doing this community event the other day, like a little while ago. And like, I was listening to this girl talk to Mark and she was like, it was for makeovers and for kids. And she was like, yeah, I want these like side bangs. And Mark was like, oh, you mean like and she's like, no, like a side bang, like over the ear. And I was like, what? But people come up with these crazy things and you're just like, oh, okay. I
Yeah.
love it.
but that's also one of the fun things with teaching this next generation, because they come up with these things, right? You hear about the curtain bang, over the pandemic was the first time I remember hearing that from my friend's daughter. And I'm just like, wait, what? Curtain bang? Oh, like Farrah Fawcett, right? And you go back to these references that we all have, and there's a
Mm.
slight twist on it,
Mhm.
right? It's
Yes.
clothing, it's
Yes.
like
All new name. Yeah.
right? So
Wolf cut. You remember?
yeah,
Oh
well,
my
I got one of
God,
those the
yeah.
other day, and I'm like, all right, so we've been doing this shag, so you just want it more layered, right? So that was what we
Yeah.
got to from the shag that we've been doing to this wolf cut.
Yeah.
It's just a
Yeah.
little bit more, right? And you can put any name on it, right?
Right.
You just want
Exactly.
more layers around the face, a little more
That's right.
bang.
That's right.
Yes.
That's
And like
right.
that's it, right? Like we are all in a point now in our career where it's like, oh, that sounds like an interesting new thing. But then you look at it and you're like, oh, it's just the reinvention of this that happened in the 60s, that happened in the 20s, that happened, forever and
Yeah.
ever. I love it though. It's like all these different pieces that are going together in a different way.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's why we still play around with these different projects and decades of sorts, right? So you go through the
Mm.
decades, you can go through music, right? With the 70s, 80s, 90s. Now we're back in the 90s
Mhm.
today, right?
Totally.
Blowouts
Sorry.
and things softer and rounder. So I'm just not wanting to go through the flat iron dead hair again.
Oh, dear God, please.
Oh.
Ew.
But I'm starting to see the younger girls going back to straight again. Little young girls come in. I want straight hair now.
And you're like, damn it.
I'm like, okay, bring out my mason.
Yeah.
God,
No, I
that's
think,
so funny.
it's interesting going through these different teaching techniques. We've gone so far into round brush, right? And did we ever see a metal round brush in the salon in the 2000s? Hell no, right? All
Never.
bore, bristle, yeah, and the mason. And there's a reason for it, right? Less tension, gets bouncier or whatever.
Right,
It can
right.
be quicker, for sure. In some instances, I know people will argue that to death, and I would never want to argue that. But yeah, you have this thing that just kind of keeps flipping back and forth, and all the while, in my first few years of hair in the mid 90s, I had a curling iron in my hand, and that quickly
Every
went
time.
away until what? I don't know, 2012, 13, 14, and it's like, oh shit, how do I work this thing again? Right?
Yes.
Constantly reinventing itself in ways, and that's why it's important to have that mentorship to go back and teach the way things were done. Michael Gordon was always so big on this hair
Yeah.
history, hair stories thing. It's
Mhm.
so important to know your hair heroes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Which actually at the time I was like halfway scared of Michael, but also like, what is his problem? But also inspired, right? And however he delivered that is one thing. But the other thing is like, man, I'm so grateful that he put that in our heads, hired people like Howard and Raymond
Yeah.
and, and then your generation, like Nikki and Mark and all of that, like is just, wow, what a great experience.
Yeah.
That was the most amazing experience, I think, too.
Really.
And the
Yeah.
one thing that made it so amazing is the education side of it. They
Yeah.
had the funds
Yeah.
to do this, and
The editorial education was
Mm.
All of
top.
it. All of it.
Yeah, totally. you.